So, Street Talk for episode 418. Let it begin. Corrie, this week, I thought for the first time since they went to the 3 episodes a week, it felt very much like that's the end of one block of filming and here's the beginning of the next block of filming. It, especially with today's, it felt like a brand new refresh, didn't it? It didn't quite fit.
Yeah, it really did feel like kind of like a new chapter instead of a beginning of a new paragraph.
Yeah, lovely. Nice analogy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there are lots of little mini storylines that not a whole lot happened with. And I suppose the big one tying it all together was the serious case of the Ollie Wobbles, wasn't it? That did bridge the gap at least. But even with that, it was still frustrating. And you're like, come on, go on. I don't know. We'll start off by talking about the Yaz fighting story first, because that was obviously has been the big story for the past few weeks. And it felt like it reached a point this week where they can put it on hiatus for a bit, with Yasmin getting bailed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think the talk is still going back on the street, so I don't know whether Ali is still going to carry on her little mission. But even today, Wednesday's episode, when she changed the locks at number 6, it felt like, right, she's barricading herself in that house until this story comes up again. So I don't know whether we're going to see any more of that soon. Then we'll move on to the Ollie Wobbles story, followed by Street Fighter. Have we had Street Fighter as a storyline title before? It feels like that's what David's doing, although we should
have done. If we hadn't already.
Yeah, well, if we have, this is Street Fighter 2. and if we'd had that, and then it can be Street Fighter 3 and 4.
We can carry on with this
so
all
on.
right.
Yeah. We haven't actually seen him fighting. He's done some
goading.
goading.
Car or goading, yeah. Everyone knows that's a great way to begin a fight.
Yes, yeah. Platak is the best form of defence. We've got, and then we've really got the little mini ones. Peter Pels, I don't know, which is Kathy and Bernie. Their blossoming friendship at Prima Donna. Gemma, Don be mean.
I'll try.
Don be mean.
I'll try.
Storyline title for what went on at Bistro today. Oh, that Don, that new Bistro manager, is a really nasty piece of work.
Isn't he a meanie? I think it's Ray's fault.
Ray's fault? He was a bit racist.
Ray needs to get a handle on him, on his staff.
Yeah.
I've never seen such a cowardly idiot. Oh, my manager says you're not doing it properly.
He's just passing the buck.
Of course he is.
So that was the beginning of something, it seemed. We had a tiny bit more of the Winter Blues story and even a tiny little bit more of the Nana Romancer story with Arthur. And I had been wondering what's been going on with him. So I was happy to see him, and I can only assume he'll be back in it properly next week. So, Gemma, you start off with the Yasmin story, which will give me the big job with the Ollie Wobbles. What has poor Yasmin been up to this week?
Well, on Monday, Steve has spent the night with Tim getting drunk, both talking about what's happened to his dad. Tim is obviously very concerned. His whole world's been turned upside down here a bit because his dad's wife's now in jail for trying to kill him, and never thought this would have happened, especially given how Yasmin is such a nice person generally.
Yes.
Can't believe this has happened. So Steve's been trying to be a good friend to him and keep him company.
Hopefully that's going to be reciprocated, because I think that Steve's got a few problems of his own coming later on in the week.
They're both not having a great time at the moment. So Gail's got her birthday due and she's trying to invite people.
I put that in the notes of the Yaz story, but it's not really, is it? It's more...
No, just about Sally.
Yes.
So then we see Yasmin in her cell and we fade.
I was disappointed that her cell wasn't sparkling clean after she started going at it with a toothbrush last week. I was expecting, glistening tiled walls, which she obviously gave up when she realised that Jeff wasn't going to be there checking on her.
We know that she's been putting the effort in to clean the house, but has that translated into any kind of achievement? I'm going to say no, because she hasn't even found the cameras.
No.
So
they mentioned that on the Corrie Good News, didn't they, with Colson today, that we just watched before we started recording, and people were writing. Obviously, people for weeks have been saying, "When's Yasmin going to find the cameras? When's Jeff camera's going to be uncovered by early, or the police or anything?" And Colson was like, "Oh, people have been saying that they should find the cameras while watching this space." So at least Corrie knows that everyone is definitely asking about these cameras. Just hurry up and find them soon, please.
Yeah. So we fade from that to Alia in her lounge. She hasn't slept. She is trying to research similar cases to help Yasmin. And Imran's like, look, you got to let me help her. You can't really do anything. You need to just rest and keep your mouth shut.
You're even more useless than normal in this situation, Alia. You got a law degree? No, let me handle it.
Stop making outbursts in court. Stop trying to badmouth Jeff around the place and getting people biased. Just be quiet and go to sleep.
She did. I'm trying to remember. I think she did stay pretty quiet in court, didn't she? I think Tim was a bit more vocal.
Yeah, Tim should have been kicked out. Alia says, please, can you promise to bring her home? And he's like, and sort of gives Toya a look.
Well, he puts on a front for Alia at least, and then when she leaves the room, he's like, to Toya.
Well, yeah, because he knows you can't really promise these things. So the cafe, you got Tim and Alia having a face-off, and she starts to say, the whole world will know what a monster your dad is, and things like that. And Roy has to break it up because it's so intense, and everybody's yelling at each other.
Roy has a big old yell, doesn't he?
Stop being so unreasonable and spoiling the bacon sandwiches I've made.
I like it when he does things like that, and then people always say, oh, that's a bit out of character for Roy, and it's like, no, he's definitely got form.
No, Roy hits people with baseball bats if you don't.
He's shouted in that cafe a lot. He can have a bit of a short fuse, old Royston.
Oh yeah. Then we have the court scene, and Imran does his little lawyer speech.
Go on, let her off, please. Go on, I'll be your best friend.
Look at all these tweets. Look at all these people that like Yasmin better than Jeff.
Yeah, look, free the Weatherfield one, not Deirdre.
Yeah, and the judge is like, this is not a Twitter popularity contest, otherwise I would never have got this job. Tim's heckling in the audience, but alas, Yasmin has not been allowed out on bail. And for some reason the judge is like, well, if I let her go, she might run away, which I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think so
and
either.
Secondly, she might try to contact the complainant, which I think is a much more relevant worry, because she's already said I want to speak to Jeff, and I agree. I think she probably would.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know where this running away thing came from. It's more likely she'd hide herself away somewhere back at home, and when the court case came round, she'd be like, "No, I can't leave my house."
Well, the thing is, though, I guess who would live in the house? This is a question that I still haven't worked out the answer to legally. Like who's allowed in the house and who isn't.
Alia thinks she now owns the place.
Alia's the one that causes this problem, really, isn't it? So Tim's chuffed about the fact that she's not allowed out. So on Wednesday, Alia and Ryan go to the Rovers and tell Sean what has happened. And Ryan's like, oh, God, you shouldn't really be saying this to Sean. And Alia's like, oh, they just told me not to talk to Gran's friends, but I can talk to anyone else I want. And I hope that he tells everybody and gossips about how evil Jeff is. And Ryan's like, wow, this seems like a foolproof plan. Alia. Tim goes to Jeff in the hospital and tells him what's happened. The fact that she's got to stay in prison, and Jeff's like, oh, I still love her, and Tim's like, yeah, but she glassed you in the neck. You should be glad. Yeah. Then Alia has decided, it looks like, to move into number 6, and she's got a locksmith in. She's lied to him, pretended that she's lost her keys, and she wants the full works, as much good stuff as he can get in there, because she's worried about local scallies. And Ryan's like, this doesn't seem like this might not be as easy as you think it is to keep Jeff out. I agree with him.
He can use magic, can't he?
He can just Alakazam himself in wherever he wants. So on Friday, we've got more people picking up this gossip about Jeff and how he's might have actually been in the wrong.
Yeah, there was a scene earlier in the episode tonight. I can't remember who Evelyn was talking to in the shop, but she's all nice as pie to Tim, isn't she? She said, "Oh, give your dad this chocolate bar." And then as soon as he's gone, she's like, "He's a slime ball. I don't trust him. Couldn't trust him all that."
She said, "I don't trust a grown man that does magic."
Yeah.
I want to know. So does that mean the profession is solely down to children and women?
Maybe.
So Debbie McGee's okay.
Yeah. Just not old Paul. Rita was also suspicious of him later, wasn't she? So I'm glad that it's not everybody on the street turning against Yasmin, which, is a bit of a soap trope to have everybody go against her, against the obviously innocent party.
It is funny how quickly everybody's turned against Jeff, though.
Yeah, it's almost like everyone's like, oh, I knew there was something not quite right about him.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of
of
fans
viewers,
said as
yeah,
well.
like,
Right from the beginning, we never really liked Jeff, but we weren't sure about why.
Yeah.
And now we've got we've been given permission by the Corrie Cod, so we can say,
yeah,
he's a bit of an arse, isn't
him.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, is that bad? Like, should we always trust our first instincts, or should we give people the benefit of the doubt?
Very true.
Yeah.
He's not like Phelan, in that Phelan was, naturally very charming, and I think some people were a bit wary of Phelan, but I don't think they were.
I think Phelan's a lot more charming, and Jeff just tries too hard.
Yeah,
I think he needs you to like him, but he doesn't respect you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping that even though we might not see Yasmin for a bit, which is a real shame actually, she's not really had very much to do at all for a week and a half.
I don't know what she can really do in prison.
Well, sometimes they have scenes of the characters in prison, don't they?
I know, but I don't know whether she's going to have a jail mate. Cellmate.
I'm assuming not, which is a real shame. But she's not really needed until it comes to trial, and that could be, in real time, we could be talking months before we see Yasmin. Sadly,
it's almost realistic.
I know.
Realistically, Yasmin really should have not been let out, just because of what she was saying about seeing Jeff, and she does seem to not have a handle on what exactly she's done wrong, and she knows
she's not in her right mind. She needs looking after, doesn't she?
She needs somebody to look after her. I don't know if jail's really the best place, but certainly there is a real danger of her going and seeing Jeff. And in any other court case, she is innocent until proven guilty, but equally, I guess the flip side that I've never really considered before is the victim until proven otherwise, So Jeff deserves the right to be protected from Yasmin, just as much as she deserves to have her rights respected.
And be harassed by Fringe Bangs, who we didn't see any of this week, did we?
No, but I actually, because we had quite a lot of discussions, really interesting discussions, on our Facebook group, people talking about her interview technique, and yes, I definitely agree, it was not very finessed or polished. And I was looking up interview techniques, and I've forgotten the name of it, but there's this really famous interview technique that's still used in America today, which has caused loads of people to falsely confess to crimes that they didn't commit, because basically the technique is you just tell them they did it until they admit they did it. And you can take days and days and days to do this. I've forgotten the name of it, but it was invented by this guy who championed it, and he did a test case, and the first ever test case that he used to prove his theory, eventually it was proven that guy was innocent all along. But this didn't stop this man from making, he's died now, but his legacy lives on, and his company is named after him that trains people in this technique. And over here we've got a technique called the PEACE technique. It's PEACE. I've forgotten what it stands for, but basically you just ask them what happened and work out from the evidence. The other way is just you keep saying they did it until they admit they did it, and then you fit it against what you think happened. But the reason I'm bringing this up is if you're interested at all in confessions and how they can be twisted, look up Forensic Files. It's called Fishing for Truth. You can find it on YouTube. It's like a 20-minute episode, and it is all about a guy who is interrogated, and there's a few twists and turns I won't go into, but you can imagine he didn't actually do the crime he was accused of committing. But you can see how these things happen, and the guy who got the confession out of him at the end of the episode still says this guy committed the crime, even though he clearly didn't. So just out of interest, just to raise that point.
Yeah, well, these DS Abney certainly seem to think that Yasmin did it, and Yasmin was very sort of in a state where she was very amenable to.
I don't know how careful you have to be about forcing a confession out of somebody who's already confessed. I don't know enough about it, but it just seems to me as though this would be one of those times in which you perhaps don't need to be as cautious about eliciting a false confession. People still keep forgetting that Yasmin phoned the police and said she stabbed her husband, and then was found with a blood all over her hands, standing over a body, saying that she did it.
Yeah.
With no other evidence to anything to the contrary. And let's all not forget, she did it.
There's no excuse.
It doesn't really matter why she did it at this point in time. But DS Abney is still going to investigate that. She hasn't really been in it now. Very much so. I'm not as hopeful as I once was that she's going to be the key to uncovering the truth.
No, it certainly seems like the kangaroo court of Coronation Street is going to be where this one is the most decided. Thing. I mean, I'm thinking that the fact that Sean has been told, and is he living with Eileen now? I think he is. And
Eileen will say as well.
Yeah, everybody's got these little suspicions, but it's a case they haven't put it together.
And they haven't got together to make it.
And there was a bit of that with Phelan as well, wasn't there?
I know, but that never really came to a satisfactory conclusion.
Like, remember when he had a go at when Phelan had a go at Johnny that time, and that never really came into something. I think if some of the residents had, they should have learned their lesson. But no, I think that Sean's gonna, we're gonna have a scene with him at home with Eileen saying, "Oh, you'll never guess what Anya said," and she's gonna get with Kathy, and I still think that the whole Sally, she's the wild card in there. She's the one to watch, because she to have her going up against Tim, who's obviously been brainwashed by his dad into thinking that he's not really brainwashed.
Just assumed that his dad is right.
But Jeff's like really
innocent.
Yeah, Jeff's really kind of
milking it.
Yeah, he's making sure that his son knows which side his bread is buttered.
I just find it really weird. I think it's a conceit of the storytelling.
And his bread is buttered with peanut Marmite because he's horrible.
And fighting words them is. I think it's a conceit of the storytelling at the moment that Alia is not allowed to tell everybody what Jeff has done to her gran. I really can't believe that the solicitor is in Alia, Yasmin, or Imran's best interest that people don't know what Jeff has been doing to her. Why is that of benefit? It's of benefit to Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess the only thing that could happen is that the prosecution should say, "When did you first realise that Jeff had been doing this?" And they say, "Well, after Yasmin got arrested and somebody told me."
Yeah,
but I just think it just seems a bit odd.
It doesn't look like Alia's really helping things with this case now. Now she's going around doing all this gossiping. Now she's locked herself into a home, which is clearly...
If Imran said to me, "Don't tell everybody what happened, what Jeff did to your gran," I would say, "Thanks for the advice. I'll wait for him to go, and then I tell everybody what he had done."
Yeah.
Because she's having to watch people going, "Oh, that's weird. I wonder why Yasmin did that." And she knows why Yasmin did that, because he was abusing her. And she knew. I guess this is the point that I'm trying to make, is that Alia knew this before the stabbing happened. Yeah. Alia knew he was abused. It's not like she found out afterwards. If she had told everybody before Jeff had stabbed Yasmin, that would have been fine. But now Yasmin has stabbed Jeff, suddenly she's got to keep her mouth shut so that there can be a fair trial for this horrible bastard of a man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that changing the locks to a house that doesn't belong to you and you're not on the deeds for is a good idea.
No, I know. But how long ago did she move out? Is it still kind of her home?
No,
in inverted commas.
Once you move out, it's not your house, is it?
It's still your family house. It's a really difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're married.
She doesn't own it and has never owned it. And if Jeff comes back from hospital, Tim was saying today to James, wasn't he? There's going to be a long time until Jeff has recovered from it, so it might be a long while until he actually comes home, tries to get in and can't.
Tim will realise that Alia's there before Jeff comes home, and Tim has just as much a right to do what Alia does as she has, because she's got less of a right because she's the grandchild, whereas Tim is the son.
Yeah, the first.
So if you're going to go around locking people out, then he should have first dibs.
Yeah. Do you think Jeff might tell Tim, "Or can you pop home and get me blah blah blah"?
I think it might just tip him off when he goes home and Alia comes out the front door and smugly tells him that she's changed the locks. I'm sure she wouldn't be backwards in coming forward telling him that's what she's done.
Yeah. See, I'd worry. If I was Jeff, I would really be worrying about this camera. And I know he's had it very lucky up until now that nobody's found it. But he almost kind of wants to say, "Tim, can you just go home and you're going to find a camera in the CD rack. Don't ask me any questions, but it's totally innocent, but I need you to take it away. Or maybe Jeff's going to try and discharge himself to try and steal it or something.
I think he'll come home before he's supposed to.
Yeah, because Jeff hasn't got his phone, has he? So he can't, from the hospital bed find out what Alia's doing.
No, yeah. So we know that he's got some kind of cloud-based...
Yeah, because he's watched it on his laptop before, actually, hasn't he? So it's not tied to his phone. So he just needs
there must be a streaming account that he can look at this from, and he'll look on it and see that Alia's there. And now he's going to have to make a decision. How am I going to get Alia out of the house without making it obvious that I know that she's there?
Yeah. Yeah, I do see one flaw in that plan, having spent quite a while in hospitals with various family members. Hospital Wi-Fi isn't that great.
Absolutely awful.
She's going to try and log on. He's like, no, I can't tell.
I can't have to go in the foyer.
Can't connect.
There's a bunch of smokers out the front and a bunch of people trying to get the Wi-Fi connected to their phones. I don't know which one's the worst addict.
Anyway, that story is going to be bubbling away in the background, I think, now. Unlike the next one, which has been thrust to the fore this week, and I'm sure will be the A story next week too, a serious case of the Ollie Wobbles, and it is getting more and more serious as the week's going on. Yes. So it starts off all fine on Monday. Steve and Leanne are planning to go and see a special nursery for Ollie, because we know that he's a bit behind in his early learning goals. So they're going to go to a special place to try and whip him back into shape.
Yeah.
And Leanne, at the beginning of the episode, she's been all nicey to Steve, isn't she? And whenever Leanne's like that, it always puts me a bit on edge. And it's like, she's not the person that acts nice to get something. So I was thinking, right, for plotting reasons, something's going to go wrong here. Steve's going to be an idiot so that Leanne can snap back into her usual sour-faced cow mode. And I wasn't wrong.
And she also, because they're going to go to this posh nursery, she also says... we're going to go there at lunchtime, and then Steve makes a big point of saying, "Ooh, lunchtime, like you're posh." But I thought we'd established that dinner time is when you have a hot meal at lunch.
No, I'd forgotten. I did know that up north they call lunch dinner and the evening meal is tea, but I honestly didn't realise that they thought that lunchtime was
posh.
That posh a phrase.
Or weird to say.
No. Anyway, you learn something new every day about the dialects. But yeah, lunch is lunch, isn't it?
You can have Sunday dinner, can't you, at lunchtime?
Anyway, Steve offers to take Oliver home for a bit of a nap before they go off to the nursery, and they go home and watch a bit of Barney on the TV, which pretty much bores Steve to sleep. And he comes to the cab office later with ink all over his face. He's got a felt tip pen moustache that Ollie's drawn over him.
Not that sick, then.
No, he's not too sick to do that. And Tim and Eileen kind of set to trying to cover it up with makeup and
because he tries to get it off with soap and water and it won't come off, so they have to put makeup on his face.
I hate it. Whenever I've had to have makeup in the past for like dress up days at school or whatever, I freak out when Gemma tries to put makeup on or take it off of me.
I've never known anybody in my life who doesn't like to get their face wet as much as you do.
I really don't.
It's bizarre. It's like, if you get water in your face, you like immediately start blowing air out of your mouth and freaking out and scrunching your eyes up. It's stupid. You can't even wash your face in the shower.
Yeah. I was doing.
How often have you washed your face in your life? I would say probably like 20 times.
I don't know. It gets clean in the shower.
It doesn't get clean.
It's like the debate over whether you wash your feet in the shower, isn't it? Your feet get wet because all the water runs down them and over them and the soap and everything.
So you think shampoo cleans your face just by running across the surface of your skin?
My face is fine. But yeah, I just don't like rubbing makeup off. And I didn't like... Because it hurts, isn't it? I was doing painting at school this week and I ended up with paint over my face. And it was really sore.
Beauty is
when
pain.
I was running that. Yeah. Oh... You women, you have to go through so much pain. Anyway, so Steve, he gets his makeup, and I said to you at the time that he looks a little bit like the Joker off 60s Batman. The actor who played him refused to shave his moustache for the part, so the white face, you can very clearly see the moustache underneath. And Steve looks pretty just as bad when he gets to the nursery later. And we did get to see a bit of Mardy Leanne there, but to be fair on her, when she sees Steve's face and the mess job that he's done of clearing up, she does laugh. So I thought that was quite nice that it broke the ice on Ice Queen Battersby.
It also helped that they didn't go down the route of let's make this headmistress into a Mardy cow.
No,
poshy posh.
She was
nice.
Just
normal.
Yeah, I didn't really.
She's probably like anybody. She's like, thank you for your money. Was she going to turn down free money?
I honestly didn't really see massive point in any of those scenes at the nursery because they didn't seem to get anywhere with it.
No, but it was just to establish how... It was a red herring, wasn't it? To sort of say, maybe he's got some kind of learning difficulty.
Yeah, I suppose it did show some nice bits with the relationship between Steve and Leanne, which has always been quite fun.
Yeah, and it'll also sort of show, how far are they willing to communicate with each other, and how difficult is it, depending on how serious what is wrong with Ollie is.
Yeah.
It might be easier to cooperate when it's something fairly minor that they perhaps can overcome through just throwing money at it and sending them off to a private school. But if it's something different, how will the dynamic between the two change?
Yeah, and then we've got Tracy and Nick on the fringes as well.
At the very end of this block of stories this week, we had in the hospital, Ollie got taken in, and we had Nick, Leanne, Tracy, Steve and Toya, and I was like, where's Imran? He might as well just make six parents for this kid, why not?
Wasn't Liz there as well?
No, I don't think Liz was there.
I can't remember.
Maybe she was.
She was there for some of it.
She was there for some of it, yeah, but I was just looking at the end when you had like these couples and there's Toya and she's like, Imran's doing the other storylines, so can't be here today.
So they have to go to the hospital because when they go back home, Ollie has another fit again, and the cliffhanger on Monday's episode is Steve and Leanne looking very worriedly into his bedroom as the paramedics set to trying to sort him out. So Wednesday, they arrive at the hospital. Aggie she's working there now.
I know,
apparently.
completely unfanfared. Like, we know that Aggie wanted to get back into nursing.
And I think I remember her saying, I'm back to nursing now.
Oh, I don't remember that. I just remember the last time her going, I'm going to get back into nursing.
I've got an award for being a pillar of the community.
So can you imagine when she had her job interview for this nurse thing, she just kind of walked in and slammed her award on the desk, and then the person interviewing her...
When can I start?
No, but the person interviewing her just opened the drawer and took 10 out and went, yeah, we've all got...
We've all got Golden Heart
Awards. They give them out
award.
for no reason, Aggie. I'm surprised you've only got one. You must be a new resident of Weatherfield.
So Aggie very handily happens to be working there.
I didn't also know that she was, is it paediatrics? Yeah. Didn't know that she was that's no wonder she killed Robert.
Was it? She hadn't been paediatrics
she gave him
before,
a lollipop,
had she? But...
and it didn't do anything.
Because she left nursing last time, didn't she?
She killed a man.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like,
she
look,
killed a kid. She's not told us the whole story.
No, we're starting off with the smaller ones.
Yeah, we'll work your way up to the older people.
No one misses the smaller ones.
Anyway, Leanne explains to the doctors and the nurses. There's a doctor there called Dr. Ward, which I think is an excellent name for somebody who works at a hospital.
I think it's just really unimaginative.
Yeah. What should we call the doctor?
Dr. ECG. No, come on, think harder. Dr. Hospital.
Dr. Medicine.
Doctor.
It's just a short step away from Dr. Make You Well, isn't it? Anyway, Leanne says, they say that his arm and a leg were shaking, and the nurse goes...
I think that was the doctor.
I don't know the difference.
They're like, oh no, what?
One arm and one leg, you say?
And Leanne's like, does that mean something? And they're like,
they don't want to say.
I'm not saying right now because drama.
I can't remember who it is that first brings up the idea of epilepsy, but this is like the red herring of the week, isn't it?
This is the second red herring.
Yeah, and... I've still not looked into it, and at the end of the week it's still not been revealed what Ollie's got. I do know though that out in the wide spoilery world it has been revealed what Ollie's got, and you know, don't you?
Yeah.
But the thing is, and I said this on the cook along the other day with Maureen Littman, I'm kind of guessing that when they say what Ollie's got, I'll be like, I've never heard of that. So, but for now, I want to see if I can get to presumably Monday's episode where they're going to reveal this, and so maybe something to do with the fact that it's just one arm and one leg shaking.
So what do you think? Is it going to be epilepsy?
No, I'm assuming not.
Yes.
Because they're going on about, it's epilepsy, it's got to be epilepsy. David comes around later in the week saying, here's my top 10 tips for dealing with epilepsy.
So like they're like, we're going to do blood tests, we're going to give him an EEG. I don't know what it is yet. You're going to have to wait to Monday like everyone else.
Yes. So Simon and Nick show up at that point. Leanne's completely lost her head, running around like a headless chicken. Liz is trying to reassure her. What? Yeah,
don't be so flippant. She's like, be careful here.
Calm down, Leanne. Liz is trying to reassure her, saying, well, Andy had a seizure when he was little. And like, did he? Is this established
this
curry
is a
canon?
fairly common thing that happens to children when they get too hot or have a fever.
Yeah, apparently. I don't think I knew that.
They do have fits.
Yeah.
So she's, when the nurse comes out, this is hilarious. This is what happens in real life though, isn't it? When there's a kind of medical mystery and all the relatives are gathered around the medical person and everyone's going, oh well, my uncle Bob had his leg fall off and I wondered if it could be related, and they're like, are they related by blood? No, they're not related at all. No, it's probably not that then.
Well, exactly, this is what it was like, wasn't it? It's like, well, Andy had a seizure, so it must be that. And then David comes in, it's like, oh, Nick comes in, it's like, oh, David's got epilepsy, it must be that. And I was just waiting for them to go, there's so many illnesses on the street. Is it MS? Because Johnny at the Rovers has got MS. No, it's not that. Is it his legs dropped off? Because Jack at the end of he had sepsis, so it could be sepsis that he's got.
Has he got MS?
Yeah.
Because, has he
got... Something that Johnny...
Is he allergic to milk?
Yeah, exactly.
Because Amy have you checked both his kidneys? Because if he's got a missing one, it could be like Tracy or Carla. Or Aiden.
I think that it's something new that Ollie's got here, everybody. So it seems to be worse than David's epilepsy, which is something that he says that he's been able to manage fine in the past 10, 15 years ago. And so fine that most of the time we forget that he's got it.
Yeah. Well, Nick reveals quite a lot of stuff that David gets up to on days when there is no Coronation Street.
Oh yeah.
He was getting, sometimes he has absences where he just sits there and he's not present, and he has fits and stuff. Never on the show though, because that would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
No, we're not allowed to watch that. We have to watch him having a fight club.
Yes. So that we there's a scene later where the doctor and Aggie are talking about these tests
privately.
They have a little private conversation, don't they? And Aggie, she's like, well in there, she's like, she phones up Ed.
Well, no, first of all, just to be clear, the doctor says, I don't think it's epilepsy. I think it's something else.
Need to run a few more tests first. So Aggie phones up Ed and is like, oh my gosh, Ed, it's all kicking off down here. I'm going to stay here.
I'm so glad I've become a nurse again. It's so much
I'm going to be the centre of attention in the Rovers later this evening when I go home and I say what's happened to Ollie this week.
Not allowed to.
Well, I don't think she's probably allowed to just, talk to her husband on the phone in the middle of a crowded corridor and say,
so-and-so's going on with this, that and the other thing.
But, soap drama or whatever. She'd quite like to be involved in this storyline, please, so she's not coming home quite yet. Although I wonder how much she is going to be involved in it. She's got nothing else going on at the moment, I suppose.
What's the point of establishing her in the hospital as Ollie's nurse if she's not going to be part of the story?
Anyway,
she'll be patting their arms.
They get home at the end of the episode, and they go to Nick and Leanne's flat, and Steve's going to stay there with Ollie in the front room so that Nick and Leanne can get a bit of private time in the bedroom.
I don't know why Steve's staying up for the second night in a row.
Yeah,
he's already been up with Tim. Now he's up with Ollie. Well, I wonder he was sleeping in on Friday.
I was going to say, he certainly feels it on Friday. He's pooped and he goes home and he has a big old sleep and sleeps through the rest of the drama. So David goes over to Nick and Leanne's in today's episode to tell them all about epilepsy, and that's a waste of time.
Basically, he says it's not that bad.
Yeah, Toya comes over as well later, and Leanne utters the soap phrase of doom that, oh, I think everything's going to be okay now. And usually when those soap phrases of doom are mentioned, it's usually at least, a couple of scenes or episodes until it all hits the fan. But this was literally seconds. As soon as
she said that,
everything's going to be all right. Leanne, he's seizing again.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's having another seizure, and this is a bad one. Even by the end of the episode, he's not finished. No, so he's carted off in an ambulance. Steve sleeps all the way through it. Nobody can get hold of him. But eventually, Liz and Tracy go to number one, and they find him there snarfing down some birthday cake. They explain what's happened. He rushes off to the hospital. He gets there just in time to be told, for Leanne to be told that Ollie has been taken to intensive care.
Yeah, because he's still not stable.
No.
God.
Anyway, so that's drama. I thought it was all right. I'm invested. I just know that I'm going to be let down when they have the big reveal of what it is, because I'm assuming I won't have heard of it. But I'm interested in the fact that this is a serious story, but on the flip side, it's another somebody's got a medical issue story.
It's too dark for me again.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you saying that as somebody who knows what's happened, or just the fact that it is a sick baby that you don't
just
like?
Just a kid
or
being
toddler?
ill. I hate anyone being ill.
I'm not minding that. I'm enjoying that it's given Leanne a bit of time in the spotlight. I hope that she isn't too insufferable in her grief about her son's condition. I hope that this
I know, but
Simon
I'm
Gregson's
really worried about
chance
where this is going to go, because we only just really had Sinead die last year, and I'm worried that this might be another person who dies. But now I've said that, I'm thinking they really can't kill someone off again in the space of 2 years and have like a young mother die of cancer and then a young boy die of something else. I just think it would be too depressing. I don't see the...
I know, but on the other hand, I think that they probably should. I think they need to, put their money where their mouth is and, follow through.
But why?
Because...
Why do we have to watch these depressing...
Well,
I know it's like, I'm really...
if you were a soap producer, or Ian McLeod maybe looked at some of the reaction to the Sinead stuff and was like, people like this, people are invested in this gets people talking. And also, personally, I just think that there's been too many stories of people getting these conditions and then having to live with them, but it never gets mentioned. It's like with Hope, with her cancer, isn't it? And how long ago was that? That must have been, 4 or 5 years ago that she had that? It can't be any more than that. And that, looking back on it now, feels like it was a bit of a hit and a miss. It was a build-up to nothing.
The year after Hayley died?
I don't remember.
Or 2 years?
I'm not sure. It just felt it almost felt like it was a build up to that big winter wonderland at Christmas Day and not much else. And there's barely been a mention of it since. And I'm not saying I wish Hope dead or anything like
Maybe
this.
you're saying you wish Ollie was dead.
Well, sometimes you got to take one for the team.
God.
I think it would be an interesting angle and a difficult, complex angle for them to explore with the mix of characters that are involved, the fact that then they're not a couple anymore, and I think that everybody involved would have the potential to give some very good performances.
There's definitely some great performances lurking in the wings here. If this goes really badly for Ollie, but again,
as I said, Simon Gregson.
To me, I watch Crow for escapism and medical mishaps and sad things and death hanging over you is not doesn't feel like a escape of problems. Like I totally know what you mean. That's why when people say about the Yasmin and Jeff story, like it was too dark, and I feel really bad because I'm really enjoying it. So I'm not going to say you can't do these storylines on Corrie, and you're right to say that it's not fair in a way to have stories about medical problems where everything turns out fine in the end, because that's not what happens in life. I just feel like Corrie it feels to me like Corrie went for decades without really having medical based stories, and now it feels like we have to have at least one on the go at all times, otherwise it's not realistic.
Well, they've got that hospital set, haven't they? They've got to make use of.
It's just not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And the trouble with it is too, is that when you have this, when you have these medical things, it doesn't have to be something that's exactly the same as what's wrong with you to trigger you and make you feel sad. It can be anything. Just looking at a hospital set and just seeing the doctor saying, I don't know what it is, and I've got to look at, all of that stuff just brings it all back. It doesn't matter whether it's cancer or whatever, or epilepsy.
Nobody likes hospitals, do they?
It's the same. It feels the same no matter what is wrong with you when you watch these storylines, and it affects you in a bad way.
Yeah, I do think
so that's why it feels the same to me.
They should ease off, but I'm just wondering. The main reason I'm in it is just And it seems ghoulish.
You don't have to justify it.
I just want to see whether they would kill Ollie off, because that would be, that's pushing the boundaries, isn't it? I don't think soaps, definitely not Corrie, kill off kids.
No, I know, and there's a good reason, because people don't like it. And now is a dark time in the world, and we don't really want things like this to happen. And it's unfortunate this was planned before any of this was apparent that would be happening. And I just think that they can really... I've already seen people saying, I'm not watching Corrie anymore because of the Jeff stuff, it's too dark. This, to me, is a multitude worse than what's happened to Jeff and Yasmin. Life and death, and a child's, life hanging in the balance, and parents crying, and, people standing helpless in a hospital waiting room, waiting to find out what the heck's wrong with their child that they've loved and, is so young. It just feels like way worse than anything.
I know what you mean. We just have to see when it airs.
I mean, Sinead was bad enough because she knew she had a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so dark.
Anyway.
Should only kill off ugly old people.
Street Fighter, Gemma, what's David been doing this
David's
week?
been sort of enjoying himself a bit,
He's going to wind up in one of those hospital beds before long if he's not careful.
What Nick said, David lives a very full and active life.
Oh yeah, that was funny, wasn't it, when he was talking about his epilepsy?
He said it like he was talking about a dog that only had 3 legs.
Made it sounded like he'd had he'd been castrated or something.
Yeah, he doesn't know he hasn't got any balls. He still has a go. And where is David the dog? I haven't heard hiding aware of him. Anyway, so on Monday, David
he'd have gone to Gail's birthday party, wouldn't he?
Free wine.
He'd have had a bit of a cocktail sausage with Gail and Audrey.
Yeah. It's the dog you're talking about now.
Yes.
So he's still in the doghouse for missing Max's speech at the
community centre
awards for people that picked litter up for 3 days straight.
3 days? Only because it was one episode spread out onto a Monday and Wednesday, Gemma.
Yeah.
They want 3 days worth of litter and the community garden to start with.
Sarah's having a go at him. David wants her to back off, and he's also forgotten Gail's birthday.
This is the bit. This story was great on Monday. There was some really great dialogue by Damon Rochefort, wasn't it? I loved the line that David said, if you wait for me to give a nod to the brass band playing in the garden, they can start playing Happy Birthday.
Gail doesn't think that's funny.
I thought
there were a few really good bits, but we'll get to them as we talk.
His delivery was brilliant.
Gail plays the peacemaker as usual, as David and Sarah squabbling over this.
I have said it before and I say it again, I absolutely love it when David and Sarah squabble. They've got a really great brotherly-sisterly relationship, and it obviously used to be better when they were younger kids living there together, and I can remember them scrapping over the sofa and what have you, but I do like the idea that they still can revert to their young teenage states.
You do that every time you get near your sister.
I know.
Start fighting each other. David overhears Bernie and Craig talking about a turf war that's going on in town later.
Yeah, it's all going down on the... I can't remember what the estate was called. Not the Jasmine Allen, that was in the bill.
Let's call it that. West Side Story, directed by Quentin Tarantino.
That's what Bernie says it's like.
Yeah. David is interested in this, and we know that something's going to happen here. Then we have some brilliant scenes with Gail and Audrey getting ready for the party. It's
mostly Gail getting ready for the party and Audrey's drinking the Portuguese wine.
Yeah, she said, what did she say? Oh, she said, they're talking about who can come and who can't. And she said...
the best line.
She said, is Yasmin coming? And Gail's like, no, she's in prison for attempted murder. And
Audrey's like, oh yeah, I knew she had something on. That was
the line of the month.
That was so good.
Really great. Sally can't come. She texts. Nick can't come. Audrey doesn't care. She's got this Portuguese Verdi that she's brought, and it's very nice apparently. I don't know what the alcohol rate was, but it was enough to get them both sozzled by the end of the episode. They give up on the party, but it's very sweet mother-daughter moment because they're on the sofa together with their wine, and Audrey says, "I'm so glad I had you, darling."
That's what made it. That was like
it was just absolutely perfect Corrie capture of a family relationship of chaos and love.
There was the squabbling, there was the comedy, because Audrey was she really wasn't being useless, wasn't she?
She didn't care. It was Audrey's birthday at all. Oh, and also David ends up giving Gail a card that has got...
we'll get to that's on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, David's walking around, and if you are not from the UK, you might believe the hype that Coronation Street is about working class families. But when you see this, you can see what some of the writers and producers think as a real working class area, because this is like Chav City.
Yeah, David is attracted by the sound of the chav music wafting through the air.
A difference between a respectable working class community like Weatherfield and a chav dungeon like the place where Bernie and Gemma came from.
Well, they always used to have it back in the early 60s, Corrie, as well, because they had their little street urchins, hadn't they?
There's always been like an underclass of like proper awful, like stereotypical what the Daily Mail thinks of working class people.
Yeah, but in the 60s, Corrie, it's literally these little children with all like grubbed up faces, aren't they? Like they've just come out of the workhouses.
No, mister.
Yeah. But anyway,
stealing things.
These are the horrible chavvy... Are they teenagers? I don't know.
Scally
Estate. They got a car.
So the Scally Estate has got the chavs and everyone's walking around looking shifty and
it's a perfect place to start a Barney.
I have to say, the main difference between this evil chav nest and Coronation Street seems to be that the evil chav nest has got bigger houses and slightly more green areas because it looks like a proper council estate, whereas this is like a Victorian, factory workers quarters, isn't it, from back in the day?
I think that they should have filmed this down at the Dog and Gun and had a bit of a throwback there.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, he sees these chavs in a car listening to music, typical antisocial behaviour. You should be listening at home on your iPhone with your earbuds in your ears or jogging safely for no more than half an hour at a time.
No, unlimited, it's fine.
No, you can go back in and come back out again as much as you want. He starts jumping up and down on the bonnet and they get annoyed rightfully and start chasing him. But he runs around the corner to see Craig is there, I don't know, advising somebody about...
I was thinking to his car, wasn't it?
How to
doesn't matter.
Fill up his windscreen wiper fluid or something. The chavs see that the cop's there and give up. And
oh no, it's Officer Tinker!
Oh no, not him. He's a tough nut. David just sails on past, running away. And then, so that's the end of that. But in the pub later, Craig's like, what the hell were you doing in Scally Estate? You shouldn't be exercising there. And David's like, I just need to let off steam, but please don't tell my family that I was there. And he says, well, I won't tell them, but you've got to stop doing it. And Dave is really great. He says, well, if I was somebody else, I'd lie to you now and tell you I'm going to stop, but I'm not somebody else. So there, basically. David goes home to Gail, who's had her birthday by this point, and I guess is a bit drunk. Gives her a birthday card and has crossed out happy birthday mum and written happy birthday Gail.
That was such a great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
It had I didn't write down what the verse was inside, but it was basically it was tantamount to I'm this way thanks to you.
Yeah, it was. And she was like, oh, charming.
Absolutely perfect.
And then she laughs and they both kind of like look at each other and go, Richard Hillman, eh?
Do you remember when that's phase when David wrote all the cards from Richard Hillman to Gail?
Yeah, she should be grateful it's just got that written on it. So
but this also ended quite sweetly, didn't it? Because as he goes to bed, he's like, happy birthday, Mum. And it's just, it doesn't need much. It doesn't take much, but it just ties a nice little bow on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was really well done.
It really, just little moments like that show that, say what they like to each other, they're still family and they still love each other, really.
Yeah, that's the only reason I want a big family. So
love
I can have more people
Platt.
to abuse and they have to forgive me. And he also gets told about Ollie. On Friday, Craig's sticking his nose in a bit more and gives David It's Good to Talk a little leaflet there, I guess, about not...
It was. I think Craig
speak and save.
I think so. It was basically Craig kind of knows that David's been going through a bit of a rough time recently. I mean, this is what David says. I'm going running to try and I'm trying to run Shona off my head or something. And Craig's like, oh, Have a leaflet.
Have a
The
leaflet
police
about
station is
it.
full of them.
And also he offers to go to running together with him, and David tries to say, I don't want to do it, but Craig doesn't take no for an answer. And they sort of arrange a run at lunchtime, which he said lunchtime, not dinner time.
Did he say
He
lunchtime?
did say lunchtime.
Well, la-di-da.
I'm sure he did. So they get going together, but David's not really into it because he doesn't like running. He likes fighting and jumping on people's cars.
See, I'm wondering. Like, you're right, he doesn't like jogging.
Who doesn't? David.
David doesn't like jogging.
Nobody likes jogging.
Well, Nick...
People like after when you finish jogging and you can be smug and have pork scratchings.
See, his brother Nick, he's the jogger in the family, isn't he? He's got, like, posters up about it in the flat and everything. But I'm still wondering, what is it that is giving David his buzz at the moment? And we're saying, oh, he's going to join a fight club, but that is literally still guessing at the moment. I'm sure there are spoilers out there about what there is. But we saw it kind of started off that time when he goaded those people with a knife, but he seemed to get some thrill of being chased. And then
chase me.
It all started that time. Do you remember that awesome chase when Clayton was he chasing Clayton or chasing Clayton him? I can't remember. And they like leapt over the fences and everything. There's some brilliant drone shots, and then this episode as well, as he was running away from the guys, he had this massive grin on his face, and we also saw a month or however long ago that time when he bumped into that guy coming out of the tram stop, and I kind of imagine, and we didn't see the aftermath of that, but I imagine he did it and then ran away. So I think he likes. He likes the buzz of and he knows that he's small, he's a bit nippy.
He should be going running more often with Craig to get his speed up. Well, he's only going to be the faster one out of the two a certain number of times. He's going to bump into somebody, the Usain Bolt or Weatherfield, and he's going to end up being run down. Yeah,
maybe. But so the only thing that does so far to me that suggests a fight club is that ripped T-shirt. But I suppose if your aim is to goad people into chasing you, sometimes you're going to get caught.
No, I don't think he's in a fight club. I don't think that. If he is, it seems a bit silly because I don't think they exist.
They do. It's just people don't talk about them.
But, you know the rules are supposed. You know the first rule and the second rule of Fight Club are supposed to encourage you to break the rules of the first rule, right?
What are they again?
You don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah.
You don't talk about Fight
Are
Club.
they both the same?
You need to watch the film again.
I've only seen the film once. I probably didn't understand it the first time.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Do all fight clubs have the same rules, though?
I don't know. I don't know if they're franchises.
I don't know. Anyway,
I think he just enjoys baiting people and getting into fights. I think he wants to. Obviously, he doesn't want to get hurt. But if he gets into an actual fight, I don't think he'd mind that either. I think the thrill of just being alive and knowing that, for that brief moment in time, the most important thing is getting away or winning a fight. He doesn't have to worry about Shona, doesn't have to worry about Max or anybody else. It's literally him, his body, and how fast he can run.
I can't remember who he's spoken to before about wanting to feel something. I don't know whether it was it Alina that time that he went off with her and saying, I just need to feel something, feel like I'm alive. But yeah, so you're right that he likes to bait people. I mean, Gale is testament to that. He's
always had a skill.
Yeah, so the difference is that Gale's not going to chase him down Rosamond Street. So I'm interested in this, but I was a little bit disappointed by the car bonnet jumping scene, because I thought that it was going to lead into him getting beaten up or something, and it was over before it started almost. He jumps on the bonnet, runs off, and that's it. I was expecting it to be something a bit bigger.
I know, but we know he's doing stuff behind the scenes because of that ripped T-shirt.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we see it sooner rather than later. I would say, though, that he's being a bit reckless, the fact that he's got his epilepsy, and the fact as well that it's been mentioned. And I know it's not part of the story, but I'm wondering whether one of the reasons that it's been mentioned in the Ollie story is to, freshen it up in the viewers' minds that David suffers from this, and he's going to have some kind of epilepsy attack Either when he's trying to run away or whether he gets beaten up or...
You are bringing this up and it's a good point because of the things that he said on Friday to Leanne and Steve about...
Leanne and Nick, wasn't it?
Leanne and Nick about what it's like to have epilepsy. And he was basically just saying, like, how to help yourself if you have epilepsy. Basically, look after yourself. Eat fruit and vegetables. Don't get too stressed and sleep enough.
Don't drink.
And he's certainly not doing any of those things.
So it serves him right if he has an attack.
So it's quite prophetic, really, if that were to be the case, because he's already explained why he would have sort of led himself down the path of getting a few more, like a fit.
We'll have to see. What else was that?
There's a few more funny Audrey bits we've got to mention, like she wanted to soak her feet in the washing up bowl.
I liked that... I'll go on. No, I was just going to say that I like that they mentioned Gail's dad, Ted.
And she went, oh, lovely gay Ted.
I thought he was dead for sure. Like
Is he not dead?
No.
Maybe he is dead.
No, he sent them a card from beyond the grave.
maybe he left like a box of cards with a solicitor. Maybe Audrey sent it.
It's been like over 10 years since Ted was in it, and sometimes with characters' elderly relatives, they just don't get talked about again, do they?
I know, but it was really nice, yeah. Good old gay Ted.
If he's not dead, why hasn't he been round to visit?
He's too busy doing gay things at home. Fabulous gay things that don't involve an awful party with Portuguese wine. I think
he's just at Canal Street all the time. He's
Now you're stereotyping. It's very reductive. Another awful stereotype was Gail's terrible outfit.
That was dreadful.
She looked like a member of the Manson family.
I think she looked like she was. She escaped from a 60s mental asylum.
We had some good insults for her dress on the Facebook group, didn't we?
We did, but I think everybody agreed.
Nobody was saying, it wasn't like me with DS Finch McBangs going, no, you're all wrong. What do you mean? I love her outfit. Everyone was in unanimous agreement that this was an absolute fashion fail, and I'm glad Ted wasn't there to see it because he would have been ashamed of her.
Yeah, exactly.
Another stereotype.
Anyway, so that was that. I really, really loved the Gail and Audrey stuff. That was a definite highlight of the week for me. Interested in this story. Let's see how it goes, and watch this space for Craig weight loss, because we've seen in real life Coulson Smith has certainly trimmed down over the past few months. So even if David didn't like running, it looks like Craig keeps it up at least.
I know. Good for you.
Yes. Right. What's next? Did you do that or did me? Is it my turn?
I did it.
Right. Now we're on to the quick and nothing much to talk about stories. Everybody, Kathy and Bernie, hated each other, and now they like each other.
Let's remind everybody.
Bernie's working at the prima donna shop now because
as a sort of indentured slave.
Yeah.
For the Winters and Browns.
So that Chesney and Gemma's problems can all be solved.
In lieu of Gemma working there, Bernie's working there. I'm not quite sure how that works on the taxes, but we won't ask any questions.
Did you say instead of Gemma working there?
I thought it was Gemma.
No, instead of Chesney working there.
Well, either way, I don't suppose that the Inland Revenue knows about this.
Kathy's all ready to quit, but then when Deb offers her a 50p an hour raise...
You said to me, did he just say 50 quid an hour? And I was like, what do you think?
I didn't think it was that much, but also 50p an hour, it doesn't really seem like it's enough to sweeten the deal.
That's like £4 a day. Mr. Moneybags.
Anyway, that stops her quitting. And on Wednesday, she decides that she's going to give it a real go, and Bernie's going to be her new project, and she's going to turn around into the world's greatest kebab server.
Kebabier.
Step 1, tomato slicing.
Bernie rightly thinks she's already mastered the art of slicing tomatoes at her advanced age of, I'm going to say 40, just in case she's listening.
Anyway, Bernie is after one slice gets tired and brings
Thirsty
out
work,
the
she
ciders.
says.
So Kathy's like, should we be drinking cider on the job?
Kathy
I'll go on then.
Takes no prompting. It's like it came naturally. She's like, oh yeah, a nice cider on a Wednesday afternoon at work around kebabs, knives and deep fat fryers.
Yeah, so they get drunk, then their extremely tall colleague comes to relieve them, so they take it down to the pub where they seem to be friends now. And Kathy said, I was just a bad judge of character, so hooray.
I want Dev to come in and sack them.
I know, they should. I think that tall Matt should report them so he can get their shifts.
Get a 50p an hour.
I know.
I don't think that Dev would be lenient on them at all. We know what Dev's like. If you mess up at work, he's like a tornado of fury.
He really
he's
is.
All cool and
Chev's
chilled.
already been on the brunt of that.
Yeah, he's all chilled and laid back until you do something wrong, and then he sort of like turns into the Tasmanian devil and starts trying to attack you.
Oh, the Tasmanian Dev.
Ill.
No, you're right. I know, and I was disappointed.
He's a really bad, but he's like really scary boss.
I was disappointed in Kathy for giving
Literally
in
just
so
going.
easily.
I don't know what the point of this little story was, to be honest.
No, it's like why couldn't they have just been friends?
I
It
don't
just
know.
makes me look. It just makes me disappointed in Kathy. When I just think back to when Kathy came in the first year, and I know it was a bit silly looking back on it that she got engaged to Roy and everything, but it seems like a different person, doesn't it? The Kathy that came into the show, I know she was a hoarder and everything, but she's just a bit of a joke now. It's really sad, and she's fun, and Melanie Hill's fun in real life, because I've been on a quiz team with her, don't you know? But
You've seen her after a few ciders as well.
I have.
And she definitely couldn't be trusted to slice a tomato, let alone instruct somebody else.
I'm just really disappointed that they've got a real quality actress there in Melanie Hill, and actually Jane as well. I hear that she is good. I've not seen her in anything else, but they're not really giving either of them a chance to show what they can really do for drama. They're not going to be getting any best dramatic performance gongs at the awards anytime soon, are they? Which is sad. I really want them to give Kathy a proper storyline.
Yeah, but you say that, but there will be people that enjoyed this as much as I'm not going to patronise Coronation Street and say that everyone enjoyed this as much as the Gail and Audrey stuff, because there's more history there than just 5 minutes. But people have enjoyed this in a similar way to enjoying that, and it's like a character vignette. We moan when they don't do them, and we moan when they do them. So what are they supposed to do? And also, I'd rather have 1,000 of those sort of scenes than one scene of Ollie in a hospital bed as Leanne and Steve weep over his little corpse.
It's not Corrie is
however
not
this is going to
written
end.
just for me.
No, I know.
I just
always
wish
think when we moan about
Kathy.
I know, but when we moan about dead end scenes and sort of pointless sort of character development stuff, which feels pointless because there's no story, it just reminds myself that this is what we moan about not happening.
I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Don't be mean.
Don't be mean. So, this we know a bit more than was revealed today is going to turn into an issues-based storyline.
What, another one?
On Friday, the grand reopening of the Bistro is imminent.
I'd totally forgotten about the renovations.
I've been waiting.
Of the Bistro.
What do you mean? They brought it up the other week when Sally wanted to go there for the...
Oh, yeah, they did, didn't they, for the tasting.
I mentioned it a few times.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think it looks much better in there. When they did it up the first time, it looked outdated already.
It was like purposely scruffy, the last design of the Bistro, wasn't it?
Yeah, in that it was a design choice, not as in the set dressers wanted it to look scruffy. It was like 2005 era... You know, like, it's like a sophisticated Western bar with cactuses everywhere.
It looks classier now, and it's got nice plants down one wall and everything.
Yes, it's got a plant
I like the design of the Bistro now. I know we didn't see a whole lot of it, and I'll look interested to see when it's actually open.
It feels current, which it didn't. The first time they redid it when it was Nick's, it did not. It felt dated. And I hope also that they're going to ground it in Manchester, like they did with Trim Up North, where they tried to make it a bit Northern Quartery and stuff. I've never really understood why they had a bar that had cactuses on the table and like distressed wooden, like a vaguely kind of American, like someone who'd never even seen an American TV show's idea of what an American... You know what I mean? It just felt a bit weird, and I didn't know what the theme was supposed to be, other than I got this stuff cheap down the range. Anyway, it looks good. I'm very pleased, and I want to know what is on the menu, because I always like reading the menus. But, you know, that's in the future.
It does mean, Jen, we're going to have another trip to the set when we can, so we can inspect the new Bistro set.
Yeah, we will have to cast our eye upon it. give our verdict.
Give our seal of approval.
I have to say that when you actually go to the Bistro, the one before this set, it really looks very, very different, because the ceilings go up a lot higher than you would think that they do. There's a lot more to the set than the bits you see, really.
Yeah.
And the filming angles were difficult when we went to go see it. Were difficult to work out because I think the walls were in, and it wasn't apparent where we should be standing to get the camera eye view.
Yeah.
There are some sets which are just built on one plane, like for example the Platts front room.
You always see
it's like the Simpsons front room. You see it from one angle and that's it.
Yeah.
And then there are other sets like the Bistro where you can be standing almost anywhere and get a shot. And so when you actually go to the set, you feel a bit disorientated because you're not quite sure. As I say, it was a bit...
I definitely got that with the Bistro.
Same in Speed Dial as well, a little bit. Anyway, which I just point out again, to add to that, goes to show you the heritage of those sets and how the sort of the staticky kind of sets are very much set in the kind of tradition of stage plays and like the origins of Coronation Street as like a play that was shown on television.
Yeah.
And then versus what it is now, which is, like
new places,
Anyway, so the Bistro's going to open. Everyone's getting ready. Ray has hired a new manager to replace... What's the other one?
What's his name? Danny.
It
was Danny, now it's Donny.
I know, I think he just went, I can't be bothered to learn more than one name. If I call you Danny, just answer will you? So he's, to get rid of Danny, he was going out with
James,
and now has buggered off. And so we've got Don. And Don is a bit of a dick. And he has been moaning about the Baileys finishing in the Bistro, because they've been the main builders there. And Ray, I think Ray's the one that's got a problem, but he's blaming Don. Ray's going, oh, sorry, I don't want to get on the wrong side of my new manager. What are you talking about, Ray? You're a scumbag. Why do you care what your new manager thinks? You should be putting him in his place in his first few days, making him do all the hard work, not running around telling everybody, oh, watch out, Dom's really horrible. He doesn't like your grouting. I thought it was really stupid. I thought this was bad writing, because Ray does not seem to me like the sort of man who would spend any time passing on information from his lower downs to his even lower downs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don can tell me himself, thanks, Ray. Get back in the back room and have that go at that wine cellar. Later on, Ed's going to work, and he and Michael are having a chat together, and then Don comes over, and he's like, oh, Lenny Henry, stop slacking and get on with it. First alarm bells begin to go off. They just kind of brush it off. Ed sees James in the street a bit later and says Danny's left, and James is a bit surprised and a bit upset because they were dating each other, and then Ed kind of ruined it, and then Danny went on the internet and outed James as gay, and it was all a bit of a kerfuffle.
It was a bit of a kerfuffle. From James's reaction, it seemed like he kind of maybe hadn't completely given up on him and thought that there could have been a chance,
but he clearly
that they
wasn't
could have
in touch
rekindled
with him.
things.
Otherwise, you would have realised that he was not working in the bar down the road from his house.
Literally 30-second walk away from his house.
Back at work later, and Michael comes in. Well, no, Michael's there, and Ed's telling him that they're not going to get paid until Don's happy with everything. And he gets worried because he says, I'm supposed to be seeing Grace and Tiana, and I told them I would give them money, and I'm not going to have any money now. And as they're talking, Don comes over again and says, oh, you people are always wasting time gassing. And Michael is like, what do you mean, you people? And Don's like, oh, I meant builders, obviously. And then sort of wanders off and leaves Ed and Michael again looking at each other going, right, is he just a prick, or is he a racist? Then later on in the street we have James. A county fan comes out of the Bistro and starts goading him, saying, oh, you shouldn't be out here gassing, you should be off practicing, gay boy, but you like being in the showers and all this stuff. And Tim has to sort of say, you get leave him alone, get lost, because James is like ready to fight him.
James, bless him, he's a bit like Craig, is he? He's not the toughest, is he? He's like, well, you should do one. But yeah, he did look like
he's an athlete. He's a professional athlete, Michael. I think he could beat you up.
He could beat me up with his fists and not with his words.
Yeah,
he does go to lamp this county fan, doesn't he? And Tim has to pull him back.
Yeah, and so this was so yeah. Friday was just people being mean.
I thought the first time, because we had to rewatch that last thing, because by that point I hadn't learned what Don looked like, and I thought that was Don also insulting James. So as well as being a possible racist, he could have also been a definite homophobe.
We had
as well.
a bit of all white people look the same moment, because we were like, is that the guy? No, they're two different people.
Yes.
We had to go back.
He's just some random football fan in the pub that comes out, sees somebody from the team he supports, and has a go at him. Well, because he says, "Oh, you need to get back to training." So obviously James has been not doing so well in the matches recently, not scored enough goals or whatever football people do.
They do hoops in the net.
So anyway, that's obviously going to develop into something else on Monday. So. There'll be more to talk about that there.
I don't think it's too much of a surprise to say that Don's racism becomes a story.
Yes.
We know that for a fact. So I was surprised to see them also try to tackle homophobia in the same episode. There's only half an hour. And we had racism and homophobia, and I'm not saying obviously this happens, but not in a soap generally. Like you focus on one thing, so I don't know whether it's going to be tied up together.
Maybe it's going to be like
it's not like
Ed's having to deal with this, casual racism, and then he sees. It's no play the white man, but then he sees that James is having to deal with some that kind of abuse, and maybe it'll make him more accepting of James or something like that.
Because we've spoken before at length about how there are parallels, because you can't you don't choose to be black and you don't choose to be gay.
Tell you what, the street is not being very hospitable to the Paul Baileys at the moment, are they?
No, it's really horrible to watch as well, and it's one of these things where it's like microaggressions where you know that, or you're not sure really, somebody's being horrible to you or giving you a look in some way, and you don't know why, and they're like, it's a real privilege of ours to never think, oh, they don't like me because I'm white, like you wouldn't be your first thing. Whereas Jane, like Ed and it's like being gaslit. Ed and Michael in there, and they know that this guy is being racist, but at the same time there's enough plausible deniability in it to be like, oh, those you people, I meant builders, and it's like I know exactly what you meant. But then again, there will be other times when the person is just being a dick. Yeah, you don't know. They're not necessarily racist. They're just horrible to everybody.
Or
maybe they don't like you because you're being a dick.
Already, it is being done better than the Play the White Man, which was
the last time Coronation Street tackled racism head on was in a very clumsy way,
exactly.
trying to avoid saying anything offensive by using a very dated slur that didn't really land, and then. Yeah, it wasn't. You can listen to our thoughts on that. It was with Lloyd and Paul, wasn't it? It didn't work at all because they were trying to do something about something that was very offensive without offending anybody, and it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. No. And I don't know whether they're going to get complaints about, being called gay boy, and I don't know if people know Lenny Henry. The reference to Lenny Henry, he's a very, very famous black comedian in this country. Yeah, like from the 80s. He was like one of the French, He does comic relief. Yeah, he's I guess like one of the most prominent black comedians in the 80s and 90s in this country. Well, his career spanned decades because he's still famous now. Yeah. I think it was the 80s, or was it just the 90s?
No, I would say it was.
He's been around our entire lives anyway.
Yeah. This story also reminded us that Michael is going to be starting work at Underworld soon, because it's been so long because of the the spread out episodes since he had that interview, and he said, I can't start working for 2 weeks, but that must be like, a month or so ago now. So
he's going to be a salesman at Underworld starting from next week.
Exactly.
Or maybe the week after.
Who knows? We also had the Gemma storyline this week. Not a whole lot. She's still not really wanting any help or support from anybody, and when Billy and Paul come around to babysit, she's And she thinks that this self-help support group later that she's going to go to isn't going to help her at all, and what's the point of this? Nobody else is going through what I'm going through. But then I thought it was quite a nice scene when she's in having their the circle time together, and then this woman opens up and describes the horror of having children and postnatal depression.
Horrible.
And what she describes really strikes a chord with how Gemma was feeling. I thought that was done quite nicely.
I thought it was nice, but it was also very plainly it was literally...
Yeah.
We literally got told. We didn't get shown anything. We literally had Gemma go, listen to somebody, and literally turned to Ches and went, it's like she's talking about me. There was no subtlety in it whatsoever.
There wasn't. But
Gemma's not a subtle character.
No, so maybe that fitted. So, is she going to be better now? Now she realises she's not the only one.
This is kind of what is annoying me about her story, and she's not really... Maybe she has alluded to it a bit, but I feel as though everyone's getting away with this. Like, everyone around her is going, well, you've got your pills now, you must be better. Are you better now? You've had your pills. And she's like, no, I'm not bloody better now I've had my pills. Because at the end of the day, even if she doesn't have postnatal depression, she's still got 4 kids and a useless boyfriend.
And then apart from that, we just had this stuff with Arthur, which was literally nothing to do, was it?
She's trying to pretend that she's not bothered.
Yeah, I can't remember who she's talking to in the shop where she's done it before, hasn't she?
I don't mind.
It's because she doesn't want to lose face if it doesn't work out. But even when he comes and into the Rovers and says, do you want to come out dancing with me? Even then, she's like, oh well, yeah, go on then. But you can tell that she's a bit excited by it.
I want to see Evelyn and Arthur dancing to the Wurlitzer.
Yes, I do as well.
In Blackpool.
We might have to wait until next week.
But she'll be so sad when she finds out he is the Weatherfield serial killer. I'm just waiting for that revelation.
Right, Gemma. That's the end of this week's Coronation Street.
It wasn't a sort of sterling...
It was 2 weeks ago when Jasmine stabbed Jeff with a knife, I don't know what I'm talking about, with a glass bottle, was it?
No.
It was an all right week.
It was a pretty average week.
Yeah, I mean, the Yasmin stuff was the standard denied bail thing. Ollie Wobbles was building up to something. The Street Fighter, the Gail and Audrey scenes kind of made it up. But like I said, the scene with...
Those are going to get an extra half a mark with me.
The scenes with David and the car bonnet were... I thought it was a bit...
Is David, like, typical David, like, being a ragamuffin?
Yeah. And everything else was... There was barely anything there. So, I mean, I think 3 Asian Emily Bishops out of 5 is a fair score. That was a reference to people talking about Yasmin and not thinking that she had it in her to stab Jeff, and somebody said, oh yeah, she's usually so nice and calm and polite, she's like an Asian Emily Bishop.
God.
So 3 Asian Emily Bishops.
Well, maybe Emily Bishop is like a white Yasmin Nazir. Have you ever thought of that?
What are you scoring it?
I'm gonna give it 3.5 non-consensual magic acts, because I thought that was a really good point that Evelyn made, is that Jeff is kind of like a magical rapist. Like, you don't ask him to do magic on you, he just does it without asking your permission. And I think we need to talk more about consent in the magic world. And David Blaine and the rest of them need to really have like informed consent before they try to astound and amaze you. And Darren Brown as well. I'm not letting it.
Yeah, and those rabbits don't ask to get pulled out of hats, do they?
God knows where they've been.
Character of the week. Thinking probably
Asian Emily Bishop.
Asian Emily Bishop didn't have any lines this week. Very sad. I think Audrey.
I know. I was going to say Audrey.
I'm thinking like storyline development wise, I couldn't really put my finger on anybody
Leanne,
here.
or...
No, because I mean, I feel sorry for Leanne, but also she was a bit mardy. David is more exciting from a storyline perspective for me.
But he's too remote, isn't he? At the moment, they're building mystery by us only knowing half of what he's up to.
Leanne reacted in a very natural way to a horrible situation. It's not enough for me to give a character of the week, and she wasn't, entertaining to watch or anything. For pure entertainment value, I've got to say it's between Audrey and David, so I'll go for Audrey.
Audrey was my first thought because she just delivered all of her lines so perfectly, and it's another one of those things that Corrie can do really well, where you've known these characters for decades and those lines are so poignant and meaningful.
Yeah, and the fact that there was some sweetness with it as well at the end.
Exactly.
So 3.5, and 2 Audreys for this
Two
this
Audreys.
week. Not bad, but let's see if you can do better next week, Corey, please.